Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Danny Hernandez and James Jasanti, back once again to discuss AEW Dynamite. New look this week. We're trying something new, so we hope you like the changes, and please forgive us if we have any technical difficulties. We're kind of learning this on the fly, but I'm sure we'll be fine.
The optimism. Beautiful.
Anyway, I digress. And let us unfortunately start with the main event of the evening, which was the Acclaimed versus the Guns for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Now, I'm not going to lie, the first, I want to say half to maybe 3/4 of this match was fairly uneventful. It wasn't bad, but compared to a lot of the other matches tonight, they weren't that good either. It wasn't that good either, excuse me. But things started to pick up as we got a vicious ref bump when Bowens accidentally hits the ref with a brutal rolling elbow, just absolutely taking him out. And then Austin Gunn hits the quick draw on Bowens. Austin Gunn, realizing the ref is out, runs outside the ring and grabs one of the titles and comes back in and then is going to hit Bowens. But this prompts Billy Gunn, who had said earlier in the night that he would stay in the back. He decides to come out, and he comes in and starts to pick Bowens up. And this is one of those moments where you're like, is Billy going to turn? Is he going to throw Bowens into the title? But instead, Austin goes at both of them with the title. He throws Bowens aside in an effort to keep him from getting hit and catches the title as Austin was swinging it. But then from behind, Colton came out of nowhere and blindsided Billy with the other tag team title. But as all of this happened, Caster came to, as did Bowens, and they were able to get up and clear out the two Guns. It's so hard not to call them the Ass Boys, every time.
I don't know what's stopping
you. Can, yeah. What's the downside?
I guess
what's the problem?
So anyway,
we're always very official with damage control. That's how we refer to.
Who are they?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Damage control.
The Acclaim take the Ass Boys out. Bowens and Max hit both their finishers on Austin, but the ref is still out on the floor. So Max goes to get him, and eventually Max is able to pick the deadweight up, roll the ref back in the ring. The ref has an extremely slow 3 count, and Austin is able to kick out. Bowens then is able to roll up Austin with an Okada roll, but once again, the ref is still very groggy. He doesn't notice at the beginning for about 5 seconds, and then has the slowest 3 count of all time. It was slower than Aubrey's, which we'll get to in a minute. As you can see, everything changing there quickly. And again, Austin is able to kick out. This kick forces Bowens towards the rope where Colton is waiting with one of the titles. He smashes Bowens over the head. Bowens goes completely unconscious. Austin rolls him up 1, 2, 3 for the pin, and we have new champs. Now, this went over like a fart in church. People weren't even booing. They were just chanting bullshit. Everyone was really upset, to the point where, Danny, I didn't even ask you about Max's rap because that's how much this upset, I think, everybody.
This was worse than that infamously bad ending to Dynamite with the Dark Order segment and the really bad punches that everyone, including Goldust, fucking shat on. This was an atrocity of the highest regard.
The highest order.
This was the Ass Boys shot down our fucking balloon, man. This was not okay. This was an act of aggression. This was an act of war. This has changed the channel. I don't even want to watch Dynamite next week after this. This was I feel violated. I feel filthy. I feel disgusting. I feel like I can't even joke about the situation because I don't want to lend any credence to the semblance of an idea that putting the title on the Ass Boys was a good decision. This was really bad, and I don't think this is just to get the titles on FTR. Maybe it is, and that's how they try to bring them back in, but that's not good. There's no reason to take it off the Acclaimed. This really, I knew this title reign had to end. I'm not delusional. I didn't think they were going to hold the championships forever, but I thought it would be at least until they developed a good tag team, which they don't have any tag teams in the division right now because everyone's in the trios division, kind of. I feel like both divisions are somehow missing people and teams, but
agree.
it's really, really devastating, frustrating, annoying. I there's no bright side to this. This just reeks of this damages Billy Gunn's image in my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of people's eyes, where it's like, oh, this is nepotism now. Like this is like I thought Billy Gunn was cool for being aware that his son sucked and the Acclaim were awesome. But it just felt like a long con to get his sons the titles, that they would never, ever sniff these titles otherwise if they weren't his sons. Like, that's just, no offense to the Ass Boys, because, they're really good at the one thing, which is being called the Ass Boys. But, like, oh, man, this was just depressing. And I will pause this tangent for now so that James can speak, but, like, there's just so much more to say, so much negative things to say. But James or Rev or whoever wants to jump back in here, while I take a few seconds to sulk.
Yeah, James. Yeah, I can't imagine you have too much positive to say about this either.
See, I hated this across the board. Best part of the match was the rap beforehand, where Caster did not hold anything back. I think tonight. I'm going to disagree. I'm gonna disagree with one thing Danny said. That the only reason the Guns won the titles or even got close enough to the titles is because they're Billy's sons. And the truth is, from a storytelling point of view, the Guns winning makes a lot of sense. Like the Acclaimed being with Billy was a story that was told months and months ago. Being with the Ass Boys, they were a unit, and it coming sort of full circle for them to be the ones that take the titles off would make sense in a world where the Guns were over in any way. They're not. They don't have good heel heat. They're just there a lot of the time. People are surprised when they win. I think the stuff they do well in the ring, they do well enough, but they don't shine in any true way yet. So
yeah,
it does feel early for them to get the titles. As weird as that sounds.
I think they absolutely could develop into a great tag team. I think they have all the potential. They have all the tools to do it. I just don't think they're there yet. They're very green in my eyes still. They feel young. So this is one, it's disappointing because the Acclaimed are still the most over team in the division. And I don't necessarily want to see them just immediately win the tag titles back. Like, I feel like we'll devalue the tag titles even more than just having the Guns win it than they did tonight. So taking it off the most over team with a nothing team feels weird. Doing it in a less than satisfactory way. I guess Bowens looked strong, He took a title to the face to get rolled up. Sure, but I don't know. The one takeaway I took from this match, from this outcome, which sucks, and I'm just looking forward to whoever the Guns lose the titles to. The one positive takeaway I'm taking from this is I'm going to disagree with what you said about how the first 2/3 of this match was kind of boring, especially in comparison to the rest of the night. Because, hear me out. You are right. If you compare it to the rest of the night, standard affair, nothing really of note or of value. But I got to say, I am thoroughly impressed with the unit that is Caster and Bowens.
Oh, they're phenomenal. They have looked so good during this title reign. Every time they go in the ring, I like them more and more as wrestlers, not just as rappers and promo guys. They're great.
I will 100% plead guilty to the fact that I didn't think much of them as wrestlers before they won the tag titles. My eyes opened when they had the first match with Swerve and Keith Lee, and then they kept them open throughout the reign. And tonight, in an affair where we were all dreading the outcome, I still think they looked like champions. They wrestled like champions. They wrestled like guys that showed us all how much they've developed from where they were a year ago to where they are now. It's astounding, and I applaud all the work the Acclaimed have put in so far. And I know I just said I don't want to see them just win the tag titles right back from the Gun Club, but I am looking forward to the next chapter of the Acclaimed. And my hat's off to all three men, and I guess to an extent the Ass Boys.
Well, wait, this match ended? There was like 3.5 minutes left in the show still.
Yeah.
So
they had almost like a curtain call at the end for the Acclaimed.
Yeah, it was weird that their music played. That felt like that was only supposed to happen for the live crowd.
I think so too.
I feel like this, with that time left, I thought they were gonna throw to like a Hims ad or Viagra ad, with just like the lead in, like, hey, do you not want things to end on a limp dick fucking note? Because we have the product for you. Because holy shit, like, that's my other problem with this, is like, this main evented, bro. Like, this, to end your show, your main event ends with a team who shouldn't main event the show winning titles they shouldn't win against your most popular team and arguably most popular act in the whole company. You're one of your constant top merch sellers between them and Danhausen. Like, fucking, to end the show, like, have the main event a show where they win. They should have main evented on the show they won the titles, which I know we were at that show, and the world title match ended the show. But you know what? That was a limp ending. They shouldn't have ended like that. So they should have ended with the tag title match. I'm saying that in hindsight, but I also would have said it in foresight. But this was just so whack. The main event had made it worse. If this was in the middle of the show, I probably would have gotten over it quicker. I mean, I guess we are going straight from this happening to going into this show, but yeah, the Acclaim losing is fucking wild, JD. Like, this is some bullshit. Like, do you guys went to college?
Yeah, if I haven't spoken about it enough on this channel.
Did you guys take any like psychology classes or anything?
Did I? I think I did. I blocked most of them out. They were fucking boring.
I avoided them.
Because I need like to talk to a professional now. Like, I'm very, very depressed.
I went to a little bit of therapy. I could probably help you through it. How does that make you feel? No,
terrible. House of Black are got to take the trios titles, JD.
I think they're going the trios title from the Elite.
Oh man, this is sad.
Top Lightning or Fox. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We don't spoil.
Rev, do you? I know you explained the match, but how did this loss make you feel?
No, I'm upset. I think I said this last week, and this goes back to a comment Eric made earlier in the chat. The Acclaimed had so much more to do in this title reign, and I think I've been saying that a lot recently. I said it last week with everything that had happened with Joe and Darby in the TNT Championship, but this is way different. The Acclaimed are still red hot. I don't understand how you take the titles off one of your hottest acts to put them on this, to borrow a phrase, mid team. Like they're just seriously mid. I don't get it. It is an inexplicable booking decision to me. You had a title change last week, and I understand they dubbed this like what would they call this tonight?
Championship Fight Night.
Yeah, Championship Fight Night. I understand if you do that, you have 2 title eliminator matches and two title matches. Yeah, dropping one, okay, but none of the ones you set up to be dropped should have been dropped, because the Elite clearly weren't fucking losing their titles.
They could have.
No,
they could have.
But anyway, please keep going, Nick.
But I don't understand how you take the titles off the Acclaimed. It's completely ridiculous. That's a very good point, JD. They're one of the hottest acts in wrestling right now.
No, the thing is, we're just a bunch of fucking marks, and we've been worked, and we're wrong here, and the smart bookers in wrestling and AEW and WWE, they would defend this too, is, oh, we're taking the team you love and we're beating them to put heat on this other team. Bro, this other team isn't going to get a react. If they don't feud with the Acclaimed, they get no reaction. If Danhausen doesn't call them the Ass Boys, they get nothing when they get fucking crickets when they come out. So honestly, you know what? Fuck you, Danhausen. This is your fault. If you didn't start the Ass Boy chant, this would have never happened.
You can join draw the direct line between Danhausen calling them the Ass Boys and them winning the AEW
Absolutely.
Tag Team Championship.
Absolutely.
There's
That's
that
not
line goes
hyperbole.
nowhere else. There's nothing else on that
Yeah.
line. That is.
You know what the hardest part? You know what the hardest part about this is? This is the first
Acceptance.
time. This is the first time that it feels like there's an undeserving team as champions. There have been some like stinkers of reigns, you know, like there have been some reigns that have been kind of blah or whatever. But I never felt that any team that won the titles previously didn't have an argument to be champion and didn't in some way deserve it. This is the first time that I feel like, okay, well, you know, they can't all be winners. And that sucks. That genuinely sucks for me. Like I loved SCU as the inaugural champions. I love the Bucks as champions. I love FTR as champions. I love Swerve and Our Glory as champions. I loved the Death Triangle as champions. I loved the Jurassic Express as champions. Again, maybe not all those reigns were great, but all of those teams deserve to be champion.
Yeah, Eric, he's talking about tag champions because otherwise I was going to mention Scorpio Sky's TNT champion, but
but that's what I mean. Specifically, the tag titles. These felt like the only sets of titles outside of the world title that it's like, wow, these belts feel important, and they're only going to put them on the deserving champions.
And to that point, because I think it is a very good point, like you said, not all the title reigns were good. I would say Jurassic Express was better than we gave it credit for, but they were never the focus of it. But the matches were always great.
They always felt like they got thrown into triple threats because like two teams were feuding and then they both needed to get title shots.
But ultimately, it was a team that we knew eventually 2-3 years ago would be tag champs. Like we knew that Death Triangle or the Lucha Bros would be tag champs eventually. We knew, you know, Jurassic Express would be. The Acclaim were the team where we didn't. I knew that, but not everyone knew that. And like to watch, that was when we watched it happen. We watched it unfold. We watched the development. We haven't seen that with the Ass Boys. They're trying to do the same thing. Like we see them on TV a lot, but like they've not made the progression that these other teams I've said have. They haven't made the progression the Acclaimed have. They haven't made the progression that Jurassic Express has. I don't want to say the Lucha Bros because they've been teaming and fighting against each other for I don't know how many years now at this point, but we've seen that. We watched the SCU tournament thing. That was good. You know, that was enjoyable at the time. You know, maybe in hindsight, it doesn't seem special that SCU were the first champs, but at the time, it was pretty cool that the fucking shoe. There's still the highlight of Scorpio Sky's career, but you know, there's some, and then the Omega Hangman. You know, that we watched that develop. Like literally, like we watched that story develop before our eyes. So like, you know, there's just like, God, there's just what good comes out of this, you know, like what's the upside here? The only upside isn't an upside. It's just a silver lining that maybe like Eric said, and like you mentioned earlier, maybe the Acclaim just win it back at the pay-per-view, but like you didn't have to do that. There's no good way this ends.
That doesn't feel good either. Like they lost in the shittiest way and then they win them back. Yeah.
And they just, I mean, I didn't just do it, but like they did a better version of this with fucking Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Oh my God. Sorry.
I genuinely thought that was happening again. I genuinely thought because there was still time left and the ref was obviously had a concussion, I thought they were going to restart the match again, but they didn't.
A lot of ref hate tonight. A lot of aggression towards the referees tonight.
A lot of fines going to be handed out by Tony Khan this evening.
Yeah, and just real quick, I gotta say, great job on the rap, Max. Fantastic. You mentioned the border walkers here in Texas. Good stuff. You mentioned the Chinese spy balloon, you know, or the left balloon, if you will. That's why there's 99 left balloons, because there was 100, but we shot one down. It was a fantastic rap by Max. But yeah, I'm sad. Yeah, I think we're all pretty upset about this. Like I said, it went over like a fart train. It was just bad. The crowd clearly hated it. I don't think anybody here likes it. So we're gonna have to just move on here and talk about some other things. And let us go to the top of the card.
And let me say, I think the rest of the night was incredible.
Right? I was having such a good time.
I going back to Danny's point, this match should not have main evented. It should have been in the middle of the card where there was a happy start, middle if this was in the middle, and then a happy ending. Who doesn't love a happy ending?
Great show. Should have had more seasons.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it should have. Anyway.
All right. As I was saying, let us move back to the top of the card, which saw MJF versus Konosuke Takeshita in a title eliminator match. This match was fucking fantastic. I say this every week. Takeshita is my new favorite wrestler. I fucking love this guy. Anyway, MJF started attacking Takeshita's left arm early and often, preventing him from using it on a lot of pins for most of the match, preventing him from using it on a lot for most of the match in general. But for example, there was a pinfall after Takeshita hit a Eddie Guerrero frog splash and frog splash. Goddamn. And he couldn't hook the leg, and MJF was able to kick out. There was also a great sequence in the middle of this where Takeshita lariated MJF off the top rope, and then MJF landed on his feet, hits Takeshita with a thrust kick. MJF then hits a huge elbow. Takeshita goes into the ropes. He hits a huge elbow. MJF goes into the ropes. He hits another huge elbow. And then they each land 2 monster shots, and they both go down. That was phenomenal. And then right after that, Takeshita pinned MJF, but he kicked out and went right for the left arm and locked in Salt to the earth. But Takeshita was able to eventually get out of that and get to the ropes. Then when he does that, MJF goes to the outside, and Takeshita hits a tope con hero, which was awesome. Anyway, a little bit later, Max and Takeshita are outside the ring. Max gets back in, and as Takeshita's getting back in, Max uses the ref to get in his way, which he had also done earlier in the match. And then when Takeshita's like kind of stuck in the middle there on the ropes, MJF kicks them, and it injures his arm even further. MJF then starts attacking that injured arm with knee drops until Takeshita rolls out of the way of one, and MJF hurts his knee, and he further injures his knee when he does the backbreaker power bomb onto it, and he just absolutely kills him. I gotta say, I love that move. I don't think I'd really seen it before MJF started breaking it out. Absolutely love the backbreaker power bomb.
Yep.
Anyway, Takeshita then hits a blue thunder bomb, and MJF kicks out of that. And then Takeshita hits his rising knee into the corner, but when he goes to the pen, MJF is too close to the ropes, and he's able to get his foot on it. Takeshita then goes for a senton atomico from the middle of the ropes, which is interesting. But the first time he jumped up, he kind of lost his balance. He's able to jump up the second time and go for it. But MJF, because of the timing he had, was able to roll out of the way. MJF gets the Salt of the earth in again. Takeshita gets just barely to the bottom rope, but MJF pulls him back in, locks it on even deeper, and Takeshita is forced to tap out. After the match, MJF receives his Dynamite Diamond ring from the ref. Did he hit him with the ring, or did he just kind of mush him out of the way, the ref?
No, he just mushed him out of the way.
Yeah, so thank you. The ref gets mushed by MJF. He then knocks Takeshita upside in the head with the ring, knocking him to the floor, and then just beats him repeatedly with it, busting Takeshita open until Bryan Danielson comes down to make the save. So, James, like I said, I fucking love this match. I feel like my description kind of undersold it. There was a lot of fantastic spots in this. I thought both guys told a great story. And I think you said in our group chat, both guys came out of this looking like $1 million.
I couldn't have said it any better than I did before. So I need to ask you one question, though. And I think I'm the only one who could ask you this because of our moment with the AEW thing before. Can you say the wrestler's name for me clearly?
Takeshita.
All right.
Wait, I thought it was Takeshita.
It is Takeshita.
Sorry, Takeshita. Sorry.
It's okay. I just wasn't sure if I was actually going crazy. And this was my AEW comeback. So, anyway.
Still the funniest thing that happened on this podcast.
I'm honored. This is the first time I'm all in on Takeshita. I've been very happy with him before. I've been watching his growth. I've been watching him get more comfortable with AEW. I've been watching him build a relationship with the audience. I've been watching him have banger after banger after banger, lose banger after banger after banger. But I was like, okay, he's just, he's another good worker. This was that performance for me. This was that showing for me where I'm like, I want this guy to win every championship he can. I want this guy to be the guy somewhere. And I also got to give it to MJF. I don't think he's looked cooler in a match that he did when he literally landed off a clothesline off the top rope. I think that might be a top 5 cool moment in wrestling for me. It was incredible. I hate him so much. He's the worst. But that was incredible, and I'm in awe of what they were able to accomplish together.
I genuinely didn't know MJF had that level of athleticism. Like, I knew he was good. I didn't know he was laying on my feet doing a backflip off the top rope good.
I completely agree. They made reference to it. This is the first time MJF has wrestled in 2 months. The last match was, what, Ricky Starks?
Yes.
Wow. It's frustrating as hell, but if every 2 months we get a performance like this, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Wait, what's frustrating as hell?
That we don't get to see him wrestle that much.
Yeah, like the title doesn't feel held hostage because he's there every week. But I do like watching my champions actually wrestle, you know? I felt the same way when Kenny was champion in the beginning of his reign. He very rarely wrestled, you know? I think Moxley is like the exception. I think Hangman was the exception. But, I mean, granted, we never really had a chance with Punk. Jericho sometimes.
But no, Jericho all the time. He had like the 10-minute challenges. Jericho was still like kind of the best champion we ever had in the company.
I disagree. I disagree. I think
the most recent Mox run was really good.
Yeah,
I always feel bad.
His interim run? Come on. He didn't put anyone over like Jericho did. Jericho, bro.
I meant the third one.
Wait, which one's the third one?
Well, because they legitimized the interim run.
Oh, okay.
The second one, and he won it after Punk got hurt. So,
what did he do in this most recent one?
Well, I think he just had a lot of good matches. Like I don't. Maybe he didn't have the best run, but I think match wise, that was probably the best of the three. The first one with Mox was good, but it was in the pandemic, so it's really hard to give that a fair rating.
All right, Hojo, yes, it is great, but it's different when you're the world champion. It's tough because I like my championships, not necessarily defended, but at least involved in matchups. But anyway.
Maybe he could be involved in more tag matches and shit.
Yeah, I'd be fine with
that'd
that.
be
I'd be fine with that.
That'd be cool, but
I do not need MJF wrestling every week. Not in any way, shape, or form. Champion or no champion. But once a month, once every 3 weeks, maybe.
Okay, but wait, whose title reign did you think was better than Jericho's? I feel like you never named who you thought.
Oh no, I said Moxley too, but I'm also 100% biased that I did like Kenny's belt collector reign.
It just wasn't better than Jericho's. I liked Kenny's reign a lot though. That was a good one. That was better than Hangman's, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a high bar.
It's better than Punk's.
That's a shame. It really is a friggin' shame. But yeah, no. Regardless of all that, I loved everything about tonight. I know we're going to talk about the stuff that came after, but I loved everything MJF did tonight. I loved Takeshita tonight, and yeah, great matchup. You know what? I got a bone to pick with wrestling with AEW tonight. Bryan Danielson, Takeshita, whoever I got to blame. Bryan Danielson should not be wearing a BCC shirt the way he did. He should not be wearing a Blackpool Combat Club because guess what?
He is a fan of the group. What's wrong with that?
I don't know why I would. If I'm him, why would I be? They fucking suck. They don't help him. They're not there for him. They see he's locked behind a fucking door, and where were they? I'm sorry. I'm getting a little mad. But
are they even there tonight? Like, none of them were on TV.
They were locked behind another door. We just didn't find out about it.
All I'm saying is Bryan Danielson had a Bryan Danielson shirt come out around the same time the BCC shirts were coming out. He should be wearing that shirt. He should not be wearing the BCC shirt. I don't know if he's a member anymore.
He's just a fan of them. Sometimes wrestlers wear other wrestlers' merch to show support, even though they're not partners with them, you know?
Yes, Chad, the BCC still is a thing. They were on, I think, last week.
Three of them are. They are a nice side group of Ring of Honor wrestlers and Jon Moxley.
It's the Brian Combat Club. Obviously, he's gonna still have the shirt. It's named after him.
I got so excited when I saw him wear that shirt, and it just ruined the rest of the segment for him later on for me. But great matchup. Takeshita's amazing. That bit where he did the the pile driver into the German suplex.
Yeah.
Innovative. I loved it.
I mean, he did it like last week, didn't he? Like 2 weeks ago against Brian.
He can do it every week, and I'll still think it's amazing.
No, it is amazing. I didn't know if you thought that was like the first time he did it or not. If
he wrestled last week, I wasn't on the show last week, so I don't know.
I meant 2 weeks ago when he fought Bryan Danielson.
Takeshita wrestled Bryan. That was more than 2 weeks ago.
Okay, 3 weeks ago. But
it was 3 weeks because it was the second week of this run, if I'm not mistaken.
Before Christ Club. Anyway, I did think this match was great. We got a little off topic there, but yeah, MJF just casually, borderline effortlessly flipping out of that clothesline, almost over rotating. That's how easy it was for him that he almost went too far. It was so badass. I just, I guess the only nitpicks I could say is I wish that had more time to breathe, and like instead of them doing the both hitting each other and bounce off the rope spot, that Takeshita was just down and MJF got to fucking brag in that moment for a bit, That's the only nitpick I can throw at that. Otherwise,
but I love that whole sequence being together. I thought it was awesome.
They just threw forearms at each other after that. I mean, it was cool, but like, if MJF
they were
got
laying them in there,
but it ended up great because we still got the moment of the crowd just having no choice but to give a standing ovation to that, that spot in the match. But fantastic. Takeshita, pretty good. That kid has a future. This feels like a way better and properly executed version of the Dante Martin push from like last year, where it's like he had the good showings and the losing efforts, but now like he's getting real push. He's facing the champ. I mean, which Kenny was the champ at the time, but like this feels more sustainable than the Dante Martin push from last year.
I do think there's a couple of reasons for that. The main one being Dante was like in a holding pattern, just waiting for his brother to come back. Whereas Takeshita, they can push as a single star. Like this guy can go grab one of those singles belts tomorrow, and I don't think anybody would have a question about it. Obviously, those belts being the TNT title, even though booking wise it'd be weird.
Or him and Brian can win the tag titles now at this point.
Yeah, fuck it.
It'll be Brian's first group in AEW. Anyway, I got to bounce off something I know I used that line last week in the chat. I got to say, there was one other thing. MJF is a liar. For a guy who says he hates New Japan and he doesn't watch New Japan, that entire bit from the clothesline off the top rope landing and then the forearms back and forth, that was strong style to a T.
Yeah, but it would be funny if you like tried to whitewash strong style and he's just like, no, this is something I came up with. Like I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen that.
That's the point. That's what he does. So
MJF is a liar, we know. Thank you, GAD. I feel supported in this chat tonight.
Yeah, good question, Eric. Depending on what they do with him in the Forbidden Door, it would be interesting. Salt style. I love it, JD.
Oh, man.
All right, let's move on. So after this match, we had a quick Samoa Joe pre-tape promo where he actually complimented Darby Allin, called him a worthy adversary. And he talked a bunch of shit about Wardlow, saying how he wasn't and Wardlow shouldn't have come back after he took his title and his hair. And obviously, they're beefing.
Are we supposed to think that Joe's wrong in that situation?
No. Joe's usually right in his promos, heel or face. After that, we had Jamie Hayter versus The Bunny in another title eliminator match. And I genuinely couldn't tell you a single thing that happened in this one. I swear to God, almost this entire match took place during the picture-in-picture. And I was getting dinner out of the oven, so I missed almost all of it. By the time I came back, all I saw was Penelope Ford rip up a sign, and then Jamie Hayter hit a haterade, and it was over. That was like this whole match. It was weird. The only thing of note that actually happened, in my opinion, was that Jamie Britt and Rebel came out of the face side of the tunnel.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you. And I am sorry. If you guys have anything about this, cool. But I literally wrote, I was like, instead of the time slot of death, they followed this opening banger of a match and got put entirety in the commercial. Like, it was almost worse. Just weird.
I liked the promo after a bit. I
did as well. And
that was
we'll get to that in
decent.
a second.
I like the bunny. She's pretty cool. She has a good look. I like her mannerisms.
She likes Oreos, which is cool.
Yeah, she likes horror movies, and I feel like we should just start reaching out to her now to be on the pod, and then that could be like one of our bigger but more realistic to get interviews. We could talk about Oreos. We could talk about Cabin in the Woods, the greatest horror movie of all time.
Only one I've seen, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just perfect. It's right up my alley.
I like it.
And yeah, that was pretty much it. This was a filler week. They weren't in the time slot of death, but they got maybe 4 minutes on the show.
Yeah, it was not a good look, in my opinion, James. And I feel bad because I always, I like the women's division. I always want them to do well, and I always try to support them. But I just, like I said, I missed all of this.
No, I agree. This definitely felt like a match to serve a segment as opposed to just trying to have a worthwhile match in its own right. And I feel bad because both performers are obviously great. Bunny has proved how good she is since essentially probably like day 2 or day 3 of AEW. And Hayter is carrying this division on her back right now, in my opinion. And that's not a knock on anyone else in the division. It's a fantastic division. It's a very strong division at this moment. But Hayter is just the cornerstone of it, I think. I like Butcher's bald head now.
I feel like he's been bald for a while, but he always wears the skull cap, so we never notice. Or like the beanie, rather.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
But yeah, I like Bunny too. She's been great for a really long time, like you said. I know she did end up taking some time off there for a while. But like when her and Penelope had that street fight against Anna Jay and Ty Conti a while back, like that was amazing. So like I know Bunny can go, which is why I wanted to see her for his hater, and instead it spent the whole thing in the commercial. Like I think we spent more time talking about this now than the match went.
Yep.
It sucked. But like you said, James, it was a match to serve a segment, I think. So after the match ended, they immediately went backstage to an interview with Saraya and Toni Storm. And Saraya says that even though Jamie won, she's still a loser. And then she called over Leva Bates, who actually got some time on Dynamite for once. Woo! And then went like real high school bully and went, oh, there's an L in your name. Sir, you're a loser too. And then Toni Storm blindsides her and they spray paint an L on her chest for loser. So apparently they had done this on Rampage as well. And so this is going to be a thing. So, get your spray paint masks ready because we're going to get a lot of that going around, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, after that, we came back for commercial, and one of the interviewers was trying to get an interview with MJF while he was in his locker room. Eventually, he lets her in, and he starts by saying that although Takeshita is good, he's clearly not as good as MJF is, but he shouldn't feel bad because nobody is. MJF then turns his attention to Bryan, and he asks Bryan if he's ever actually faced adversity because MJF has faced a lot of adversity growing up on the rough and tumble streets of Long Island. So MJF starts telling the story, and I'm going to tell it, and it's not going to be nearly as good as it was. Go listen to it. It's phenomenal. So back in his junior year of high school, MJF used to have a really nice blue Camaro, and he would drive all over the place in it, just speeding everywhere and racking up tickets to the point where he was like 1 point away from getting his license taken. So he and his friends go to junior prom, and all of them, him and all the football guys, apparently making out with all the girls until he sees his high school crush, and he invites her to go take a joyride. So he's driving her around. She's giving him roadhead, which he didn't really say, but he pantomimes, which was a little bold for AEW television.
Right?
But
It felt
I
a
feel
little...
like it would have been less bad if he just said it straight up.
Yeah.
But I guess you could probably get away with the censors a bit more. Anyway, so that finishes, and he decides that that's done, and there's a little less danger, if you know what I'm saying, that he can start speeding again. So he's ripping around, and it's raining, and he starts the hydroplane, and instead of slamming the brake, he hits the gas really hard and goes 90 into a telephone pole. So when he comes to, he's blood all over his hands. He realizes that his date's head is in the windshield. So he checks her nose to make sure he's breathing. And then he's like, and this, Brian, is where my moment of adversity was. And I went and I swapped seats with her so I wouldn't get in trouble for driving 90 miles an hour into a telephone pole. He then says that he's a winner and there are winners and losers in this world. And even though he's a scumbag, he's okay with that because he'll always be a winner, which is why Brian Danielson will never, ever, ever take that title off of him. This was awesome. I honestly thought, and James, I think you said this too in our chat. No, Eric, I am not pantomiming that because one of you turned that into a GIF, and I refuse to be gifted that way. But
or gift. Or gift.
That's a peanut butter, and I refuse to be peanut buttered either.
Also, it's the inferior peanut butter. Okay, we are a Skippy podcast. All right,
100%.
I will take a powdered natural peanut butter that you have to add water to before I have Jif. Okay, all right, James. Just because your name starts with the J. Okay. Oh my God, this is. Hold on. This. You know what? No, just talk about the promo, guys, because this is a problem, and we're gonna have to talk about this off screen.
Yeah, gonna have an off the pod discussion. But James, we were saying in the chat that you and I both thought MJF was gonna say the adversity was that his date had cracked his windshield, but he somehow made it worse. And
yeah, the real adversity is that James isn't fucking like peanut butter, and I'm not over it. But I'm sorry, James, go ahead.
I only have jelly sandwiches. But
what the fuck?
I was expecting MJF at the end of this story to sound like a piece of shit. He exceeded all expectations, no notes, scumbag of the year, and it's only February. MJF. Oh God, he knows how to be a piece of shit. And the crowd still will cheer him. He got some cheers. And maybe it was because they were in Texas. I don't know. But he got cheers anyway. He's so good at being awful. And I hate him. And I'm supposed to hate him. So I'm getting worked like a mark. And I love it and I hate it. But the story was great.
The way he told it was phenomenal.
I don't know why, but as I was just listening to the story, I just kept getting Kane and Katie Vick vibes the entire story, and I guess that's what they were going for. And I'm just gonna say, the whole pantomiming that he did of the action, it was as uncomfortable as it was because he did both the hand gesture and the tongue gesture. Together.
Oh, you gotta do the tongue gesture. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do the tongue gesture.
And you don't have to, but
yes,
and he did both, and it just felt so much more wicked. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I mean, the gesture was funny. Like, I feel like it wasn't disgusting or disturbing or uncomfortable. It was funny.
Oh no, it was funny, but just the vulgarity of it and it being him.
You're from New York, bro. You're talking.
No, but it's him. It's him that makes me dislike it.
He's from New York too.
No, but he's from Long Island.
I didn't say city. I said New York.
I show me a map and I'll show you New York and like a separate entity that is Long Island. But anyway, it's just
I think you mean
hugely
City Island.
They are a world amongst themselves there. I don't have the time or the energy to explain.
We're getting off track here. Danny, what are your opinions of Peter Pan peanut butter?
It's not good. It's not good.
It's definitely mid.
Yeah, it's not a good peanut butter. Look, peanut butter is fantastic. I don't understand. Like, that was like my go-to breakfast for like 25 years of my life. But anyway, this promo was fantastic. MJF is great at telling stories. We all know this. He just has that diction and this amazing delivery. And our producer is actually a director, so he can attest to how good MJF's line reads are. But also, I would like to point out that, I think this story opens up a lot more of the MJF lore and backstory that we can dive into, because, he told a story about high school and the football team about a year ago to certain CM Punk, who's no longer in the company because some other people bullied him out of it, but that's whatever. And in that story, the other kids on the football team were very mean to him because he was Jewish, and, beat him with socks with coins in them. And not too long later, they're going to prom, having a great old time. Him and the boys are going to prom and getting laid and are all heroes. And, I would like a fan, I don't want to do this, but I would like a fan to look up MJF's high school team's football record from the year he was there. That would be interesting to know. But, now there's some sort of, there's either a nice in-between time of these two stories where he befriends his football team and everyone makes amends and they get along and become this close, or one of the two stories or both of them are lies and he doesn't care. And I think there's some interesting YouTube essay like stuff that can be done with that. But yeah, dude, he confessed to a crime, right? Like that's a crime, right?
Right? Like what is the statute of limitations on this? And if I called the cops, am I the bad guy here?
I mean, you should call the cops.
I would like to report Maxwell Jacob Friedman for being a kayfabe scumbag.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know. It's like in BoJack, this almost felt like when BoJack went with Penny's daughter to prom, and then her friend got like alcohol poisoning, and then he was like, "Oh, like I wasn't here. You took her to the hospital. You got her drunk, and I was never here." That was like that kind of story. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we can take this guy down. I don't want to because it's funny, but yeah, great promo, fantastic. Something I wasn't expecting. This feud has been amazing. I do want to say, as much as me and James have this hive mind mentality about Brian's booking in AEW, and we're right, we are correct. And even though he's going into this match just to lose to MJF, and that is okay, but we're still upset about it because, this feud has been almost perfect. I don't know what else I could want in this to make it better. All the promos have been great. Brian has cut some really good promos in this too. He has been picking apart MJF's psychology and his character quite nicely. I think this feud is as good as it gets, and I don't know how MJF will top this afterwards, but I am excited to see how, because he's made this feud feel so personal. Like, I didn't think anything could feel as personal as the Punk feud, but this is like gotten real close not in a short amount of time, but through the very simple structure of MJF's feuds. And again, not to knock them, but that's just how he does it. Like, you have to overcome all these hurdles to face me. This is more personal than the other ones, and this is on level with the Punk feud, which was personal first. So yeah, fantastic.
I think it's becoming more personal because MJF, who now sits at the top of the pyramid, is so afraid of getting knocked off and losing that title that he's going to use any tactic he can in order to keep it. So obviously we've seen him, trying to pay people off, and he's willing to spend exorbitant amounts of money in order to keep the title. And we've also seen him attack Bryan personally. So I think there is no line he won't cross to keep the title, because like you said a couple weeks ago, it's what validates him as a person, and a wrestler. If he loses that, he doesn't really have anything anymore, because he's better than you and you know it, and he can prove it because he has the title. He doesn't have that anymore. He can't prove it.
Oh no.
Also, I looked it up. Let's see if I'm going to, the Plainview Old Beth Page JFK 2013-2014 season, they went 2-6 according to maxpreps.com.
That's hilarious. It's so good to know that. Oh man. So real quick story, right? When I was in sixth grade, it was back in like 2003, maybe, I don't know. This was like a year and a half after 9/11. So I guess for a frame of reference, but my friend got like called to go audition to be like, for like just to read lines for like kids to be in commercials, and he was like, "Yeah, I can't do it." He's like, "But can I give?" They were like, "Oh, but everyone give 3 names of someone and like their phone number." So and he gave my name. I was like, "Okay, cool." I just went to do it just cause, and they gave you 5 like line read, like dialogue options to read, and I chose one that was about Skippy peanut butter, and it basically, I don't remember all the words, but it essentially went, I love Skippy peanut butter. I could eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I like it smooth, but my brother, he likes it crunchy. Side note, I don't have a brother, but I was acting, so and it was along those lines. And I got called back, but I was like, I can't afford the classes because it was like $1,500 or some shit. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I thought the whole point was you're like, oh, you guys are good. I didn't think I have to pay for anything after that. But yeah, and you hate peanut butter. I cannot believe this, man. What are you gonna say, Rev? Oh, we're talking about the record, which is great to know. That's good to know. We know that. We have that over other people. We're the first podcast to be smart enough to look that up.
To actually go to Max Preps.
I mean, we're also the only wrestling podcast.
That's
yeah, but like other podcasts that aren't related to wrestling haven't thought to look that up, and that's worse on them.
He's got a point, Sting.
He does.
All right. We spent a lot of time on this, but it was a phenomenal interview and promo, so I suggest you look it up if you haven't seen it. But let's move on. We next had the Garcia-Guevara Gauntlet, which was some made-up bullshit that Danny Garcia and Sammy Guevara came up with. And Ricky Starks had to go through basically the entire group of jassholes in order to face Jericho at the end of it. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but much like Tony Schiavone, I thought this was going to be a multi-week thing. It was just basically one gauntlet match, which I would actually preferred because I just wanted to get this the fuck out of the way.
Oh, yeah. I thought they made it clear it was going to be a gauntlet match. Like, not a gauntlet, but a gauntlet match.
Yeah,
Fair,
I thought so too.
I guess they always say, like, run the gauntlet. Like, even with Bryan facing all of these guys, I got a little crisscross. But Schiavone did too, so it wasn't just me. Anyway, we start with match 1 where Ricky Starks faced off against Cool Hand Ange. And he got in some good offense. Like, he wasn't in there too long. It was about, 3, maybe 4 minutes. He was looking okay. He stomped Ricky's face in a bit. But Ricky was able to hit him with a spear. And that was that. Then he faced off against Daddy Magic Matt Menard. And Daddy Magic tried to sneak in from behind. He threw a wild haymaker, mixed. Ricky rolled him up, 1, 2, 3. And that was Daddy Magic. So that was quick. Match 3 was unknown. It was either going to be Garcia or Guevara. Both men came down to the ring and went on either side. And when Ricky went after Guevara, he jumped off the apron. Garcia jumped him from behind, and he became the legal man. Anyway, so we came out of commercial with Garcia countering a spear into a guillotine, which was an awesome spot. But Stark was able to power out of that with a power bomb, and then both men were down. They eventually get up, and I think Ricky actually got up first and went to the top rope, and Garcia was able to follow him up there. and then Garcia hit a superplex. And when he tried to roll through Seth Rollins style to hit his next move, Ricky was able to reverse it. And then he hit, I believe it was a brain buster. It was whatever it was really awesome. Garcia is then able to counter a Rochambeau after Starks gets him up, but both men end up onto the apron, and Ricky hits a spear out on the apron, which looks pretty nasty. Starks gets up, and he gets a little too close to the railing, and he's randomly hit with a spinning back elbow, and he goes down, and they show a man in a mask and an Acclaimed t-shirt, and this mystery guy, this fan, just knocked out Starks. Garcia comes to, he rolls Ricky's corpse back into the ring, 1, 2, 3, and Ricky Starks will not be facing Chris Jericho. And then all of a sudden, this masked man comes into the ring, and to the surprise of no one except Garcia and Guevara,
and
it was Chris Jericho.
And commentary.
No, just Taz. Just Taz.
Yeah, just Taz. So it's not like Chris Jericho hasn't pulled this, I don't know, at least 8 times. I'm pretty sure he did it in who was that motherfucker? There was like the blue one and the black one in WWE, and they kept fighting. Oh, it was Hunico. Sin Cara. Yeah, he did it in a Sin Cara mask once. I'm pretty sure he's done it in a Rey Mysterio mask. Like
he wore a Pentagon mask at All In.
Yeah,
like he came out dressed as Pentagon, but yeah.
I think whose mask did he have on today? Was it Phoenix? I think it was Phoenix.
No, I think it was honestly just like generic luchador mask number 12.
Well, it wasn't Generico. I know that. Nice. But yeah, I mean, James, this went quick. It was fine. I guess it progresses the story, whatever.
Wait, I don't want to cut James off, but I haven't done that all podcast, and I feel like
also fair. I went to him first last time because I made a mistake. As we welcome Chad Big Bad Johnson into the podcast, surprise everybody.
What's going on?
Chad.
What's up, Chad? Oh my god, I hate to immediately cut you off, but bro, this fucking sucked. Oh my god, can we like this? And I'm perfectly okay with subverting expectations and having someone lose a gauntlet match. That is totally fine. This motherfucker got hit with an elbow and got pinned 4 minutes later. Like, this was terrible. I hate some finish. Max Caster and Bowens hit their fucking finisher, and the ref was down for an almost equal amount of time as Ricky was on the outside. But an ass boy kicked out of a finisher. But fucking Ricky Starks couldn't kick out of an elbow he got hit with fucking 3 minutes earlier. So lame. Anyway, what's up, Chad?
What's going on? I didn't watch. I'm just here to be here.
Well, we love you, and just hype us up.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask a million questions.
All right. I love that. And I love you. I've missed you.
I've missed you as well.
I'm going to bounce off Danny's hate with my own hate because I did not like this, and I think this was just a misstep. Beyond the fact that he got beat by a finisher and then took 80 years to get into the ring and get pinned, considering the fact that he beat 2.0 in 3.0 seconds,
right?
He really only had a singles match against Garcia. That's really what it felt like. He didn't take any damage from 2.0, not really, if at all, and he really only had the match with Garcia. So that means, he didn't take that much damage earlier to make it believable that would have taken him out, you know?
And I could tell you that in the time it took between Jericho hitting that elbow and Garcia bringing Ricky into the ring and pinning him, my morning routine, I could have made my oatmeal in the morning and my cup of coffee, and they both would have been ready.
Oatmeal?
Not all the time, but on certain days when I want a little treat. Sometimes I put bananas in them, or other blueberries, other stuff. But I could have done all that in the time it took from that elbow to the 3 count. That's how fucking long it was.
Well, Garcia was out, not cold, but he was out on the floor after he got hit with a spear, on the apron.
Which was awesome. That's how that's the thing. That was such an awesome spot, but it was followed by the stupidest fucking thing. But again, we're just marks getting work, so what does it matter? Right, Chad?
Yeah, it was dumb.
Absolutely.
It was dumb. I agree with everything James said. It would have been more realistic had he gone longer against against 2.0. Like it would have made a lot more sense. Like
Or
if he was
even
worn out,
if
if he had eaten a finisher or something, and then he takes his elbow and it takes them 10 seconds to get in the ring, that makes a little more sense. But just the way this was all set up, and I get there wasn't a lot of time because there's a lot on this show, James. But maybe don't do it on this show then, and draw this out a bit more instead of condensing it into this, this one segment.
Also, JD, real quick, sorry. Apple and cinnamon oatmeal is fantastic, man. It's one of my favorites. I'm right there with the. I put nutmeg in like all my oatmeal. Like I think it adds a little bit extra. But anyway, James, you're gonna say something about how dumb this was, I assume.
I think this could have worked better if he got past Garcia and then lost to Sammy.
Because that furthers the Garcia Sammy story as well.
Yes,
too. There's at least something salvageable out of it,
Exactly.
Or you
he
flip
gets
it
by somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, he looks better, and like I don't know, he doesn't look good. This looks weak, and
also why is this a feud? And he already beat Jericho.
Exactly. Jericho hasn't beat him. Why does he want more?
Yeah, because he's just mad. Basically, this all comes down to Jericho's mad at him because he.
You know whose fault this is? This is Action Andretti's fault. He ruined my day. I hate him.
Motherfucker.
Is it true that Jericho said that Ryback should win the Rumble and beat Undertaker?
This was years ago. This was in the moment. This wasn't like hindsight 2020 because you would need the worst prescription glass. I said prescription glasses ever, but. No, in the moment, he thought he was over enough that it should be him. And
he was pretty fucking over, but not the Undertaker.
Nobody should have. That wasn't Roman or Bray. But
Roman definitely.
We're gonna well that's a whole different discussion. It honestly, James, what you were saying, I think it would have been better if he beat Garcia and then lost to Sammy, because then. I think that furthers a feud better because then Sammy doesn't look at Garcia as like a good enough mentee, I think. Although, to be honest, I'm not really sure which direction they're going for with the two of them. I don't know if they want Garcia to beat up Sammy or Sammy to beat up Garcia. I genuinely have no idea.
I don't care either.
Yeah, I particularly don't care as well.
I haven't been watching, but I feel like this shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Like James said, the whole premise is Jericho lost 3 matches in a row and he got mad and he decided to take it out on Ricky because Ricky was one of those guys. Like,
wait, did he even lose 3 matches in a row? Wasn't it?
Yeah, he lost to Claudio, he lost to Ricky, and he lost to Action Andretti. I don't know if it was that order, but he lost to those 3 guys.
It was. No, it was Claudio, Andretti,
and then Ricky. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I was like, JD with a top tier comment. Of course, the Jericho feud is going on far too long. Surprise, surprise.
Shocking.
But then again, so is this conversation. So
I don't want to dedicate more time to this anymore.
Yep. Okay, so let us move on. We had a quick backstage interview with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, where Billy states that he's pretty torn between these 2 teams. So, but he has decided with the team, as a team with the Acclaimed, that he will stay in the back for the match. And the Acclaim seemed kind of disappointed about it. Like Bowen's, he was pretty withdrawn during the whole thing and didn't really speak until spoken to, and even then it took him a second. But as we all know, that didn't go according to plan, and Billy came out anyway. Then
he's a bad dad.
Well, he's a bad dad to his sons, but he's a great dad to the Acclaimed.
Not that he cost them their titles. He gave them the fucking match. It's a bad guy, man.
He helped them win the titles in the first place.
I just looked at the title of the episode of the live.
But I don't think that it was his fault the Acclaimed lost. He didn't do anything to help them, to make them lose. If anything, he prevented them losing the first time because he didn't allow Bowens to get hit with the title.
But he's the hothead who got goaded into giving the ass boys the match. So it's still his fault.
Fair play. Yeah, that's a good point. So it wasn't his fault tonight, but in the long term. Okay, yeah. You're absolutely right. Okay. So we came back from commercial. We had a backstage interview with Bryan Danielson where he's checking on Takeshita in the medical room, and Renee is asking her question about his match that's about to come up. And then all of a sudden, the door slams, and we hear a bunch of drills whirring, and then some guys yelling in Spanish, and we don't know what the fuck's going on. Apparently, he got locked into the room. So then we go out back to the ring. Roosh makes his entrance, and he's followed immediately by MJF, who starts demanding that Aubrey Edwards count, because the rules are, if Brian's not there, she has to ring the bell and start counting. So she reluctantly does, and she's counting, and then we go backstage, and Brian just literally shoulders the door down. And outside, we see Preston Vance, Jose the assistant, and whoever their other goons are. Brian somehow sprints past all of them and makes it to the ring as MJF, because he's berating Aubrey for counting too slowly. Aubrey's counting slower and slower because of this, and Brian makes it back to the ring. But as he does, he just immediately eats a boot to the face from Roosh, and the match starts as MJF joins commentary. So,
can I ask one question before you continue? Because you're doing great. I did not see the fluid motion in which Brian's shirt got ripped. How did that happen? Because I just, like, he went from kick to face to topless in a second, and I didn't see how it happened.
I think they might have cut to MJF at commentary when it happened, because I don't remember seeing it happen either.
Okay.
So that might be how that played out on camera. But okay. I missed it as well. I also might have been typing. It happens sometimes. I digress. So Roosh just continually assaults Brian on the outside, going after his injured arm and shoulder, and he ends up splitting Brian's head clean open. He was really bloody tonight, more than he had been in a while. So Brian eventually starts fighting back on the apron. They trade some serious shots, but then Roosh suckers Brian in, and when Brian goes to attack him, Roosh does an overhead toss to the floor and just absolutely fucks Brian up, and blood splatters all over the camera. Like MJF pointed this out on commentary, there's blood on like every single camera, and it made this look even better than it was, because this match fucked just as much as the first one did. So they come back from commercial, and these two guys had just beat the shit out of each other for about 5 minutes until Roosh hits a straight jacket pile driver, but he makes a cocky cover, and Brian is able to kick out. Roosh just then stomps Brian out in the corner before he sets up for the Bull's horns, but Brian gets up and hits a Busaiku knee, and Roosh surprisingly kicked out of that because they had been protecting it for the last few weeks. They then start trading chops and then headbutts, and then Brian looks like he's out and just gets up and just grabs Roosh and starts headbutting him, and they're headbutting each other like really violently. It was just absolutely crazy. And then Roosh just bitch slapped the fuck out of Brian, and Brian went down. So then he gets Brian back up and throws him towards the ropes, and then goes for another overhead toss, but Brian is able to land on his feet, and then he heads into the corner. Roosh notices that he didn't actually go down, so runs at him, and he runs straight into another Busaiku knee. 1, 2, 3, and Brian wins at this match and his 60-minute Iron Man match at Revolution. MJF then hobbles to the ring because he's selling his knee from earlier in the night, and once Brian is up, because Brian's just bloody to hell, he decks Brian once again with the Dynamite Diamond Ring and locks in the Salt of the Earth on his bad shoulder. Security then comes running down, and James, you'll appreciate this. MJF knocks the security guys out with the Dynamite Diamond Ring before immediately turning his attention back to Brian, and we have more security rushing in and trying to pull him off Brian until we go to commercial. So, James, once again, this was a match that was phenomenal. I think both of these guys look great. Roosh looks like an absolute beast, even in a loss. Brian looks like an absolute warrior, just looking at his head. And I think this plays really great into the 60-minute Iron Man match at Revolution.
I completely agree, but more importantly, I'm so glad that Preston Vance got knocked on his ass so he couldn't be embarrassed by how little MJF did so much better than him at taking out the security guards. But anyway, 2023, we're still coming back to it. Fuck 10. Anyway, fantastic match. My favorite match of the night. I've been very open about the fact I don't like Roosh. I've never been a Roosh fan, really. I've watched him in Ring of Honor. I've watched him in Mexico. I think whatever. I've never been a fan of Roosh. He impressed me tonight. Tonight was my favorite Roosh match ever.
He was landing it stiff tonight.
He always does. He's always a stiff striker. Brian, I think, brought out the best in him. I think they had a great dynamic. I think he showed to his credit, he's always had a big personality in the ring and out of the ring. But I think it really shined.
Either or, it's fine. Shin.
I think he really shined. Yeah.
Yeah. The light burned bright. And with he was licking the blood on his hand and all that stuff. It was an epic back and forth. I know I talked about the strong style mindset that MJF and Takeshita showed in their match. Wow, so much crazier here. The slaps and strikes when they were on the apron, otherwise known as the hardest part of the ring, was crazy. Brian is way too fond of that headbutt spot. He did that back in WWE a bunch too. I remember he did it with Dolph Ziggler the night after he won the Intercontinental title. And back then, I could tolerate it because it was cool looking. Now, Brian, the man with brain damage, I never want to see that again from him. But he also did it with Hangman. He kept headbutting the shit out of Hangman too. Stop headbutting people, Brian. But still, very cool visual. This was the right match to have blood. In fact, I kind of wish Takeshita didn't bleed after the match to make the visual of Brian bleeding this match feel that much stronger and more shocking. But regardless, Roosh looked good. He took 2 Busaiku knees. That's a rarity. Brian, like you said, looked like a warrior. Just he would not go down. He overcame all the odds. And I don't know if it's just me. I didn't realize that tonight was the final boss kind of thing. I didn't realize that Roosh was the last opponent to get us to the pay-per-view. I thought this was going to continue for another week or two. So I was pleasantly surprised. Initially going into the match, I was disappointed. I was like, oh, it's ending on Roosh. But Roosh earned it tonight. Very impressed with this match. And I also really love the spot where Roosh saw Brian was going to dive out the ring, so he walked away from it. And then Brian just changed his trajectory. He changed the direction in which he ran from. And then he still hit him with the suicide dive near the corner. I thought that was a really fun spot.
Yeah, I know you don't love Roosh. I haven't really liked Roosh too much either. I guess a lot of it he's been on Rampage, and I haven't seen too much. And when he is on Dynamite, he hasn't had the right matchups, I guess. But oh yeah, dude, you're right. Zack Sabre Jr. is right there.
All right.
And
only thing I'll say is Brian.
We already
Danielson,
had the submission guy.
No, that's not even it. Brian Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. should not be a part of something bigger. It is its own thing.
That's true.
It is pay-per-view it is Forbidden Door worthy.
I was gonna say, yeah, Forbidden Door 2 should absolutely be the two of them. It makes sense, the shoulder and everything, and that's why last week or 2 weeks ago when they announced Stature, I heard submission guy, I was like, ooh. But you're right, it's way too big to just be on a regular Dynamite. But as I was saying about Roosh, you were right. This was just the right combination of guys. A guy who in Danielson who can not only take it from a guy like Roosh who loves to dish it out, but Brian will dish it out right back to him. So I think this was great. I think this was the right move. Like I said, right before the last match that Brian had to do to earn it, to make it to Revolution. As I said on commentary, Roosh was undefeated at the time coming into the night in singles competition. So I think this was a really good matchup for him to win. I guess I kind of ran out of steam at the end there, but you get my point.
To be honest, Roosh could have lost every match he's had, and I wouldn't know the difference. Commentary could have still said he was undefeated, and I'd be like, there's just no way of proving them wrong. So, I would just believe it at face value. But, yeah, I don't want to be negative because I thought this was fantastic. I will say I don't want to see Roosh again after this. This was enough. This was cool. You had your moment. Now, go hang out with Brian Cage or whatever. And be on Dark and shit. But fucking great. Like, this match was good, but then, this dude overhead suplexed Brian off the fucking apron while this dude was gushing blood, and then his fucking blood splashed off and got on the fucking camera, and I was like, oh, this is fucking crazy. Okay, like, this match fucking rules. Also, I like them locking him behind the door. I thought that was a really good, like, 90s Attitude Era WWE sort of, like, backstage skit to do.
And it was clever.
Yeah.
Like, it's smart.
not like smart, like, like, oh, Rush and them are so smart now. Like, more like smart as in it's a way, it's something different and an obstacle for Brian to overcome, because they look stupid doing that. They look like high schoolers, I guess. They look like this is how they bullied MJF in high school. They locked him in a fucking locker room. Like,
it was a little Wile E. Coyote.
I was just gonna say they look like Hanna-Barbera villains here, but
it's Dick Dastardly and Muttley and freaking
But having that made the match, because otherwise I was gonna write this match off, and it would have been way harder for it to win me over, because I'm like, who the fuck cares about Rush? Like, bro, this is your final boss, a guy that I don't give a fuck about and never will give a fuck about. But that little bit in the beginning, locking him backstage, like, that made it, and that got the crowd super into it too, who would have been into it regardless, I'm sure. But that's the sort of extra thing that makes a match that would have just been a good match, but ultimately, who cares, into something a little more memorable. So why is the door locked from the outside? That's great. It's to imprison people, I guess. The interrogation room.
I think they were barricading it. There was definitely a good drill or something, so I wasn't sure if they took the handle off or like try to drill it shut. But you could definitely hear a power tool going.
I feel like maybe, I don't know if you guys remember this. James might. Chad might too, actually. Rev, I don't know. Do you remember when Kane and Big Show were tag champs?
Yeah,
Carlito and Chris Masters put a forklift in front of a door to trap Big Show or Kane in it, and Big Show spent like mad long pushing it, and Kane just was like, "Oh, there's another door in the back," and I got out. It's fine.
I absolutely remember that.
Yeah.
Brian didn't have that luxury. I would like a quick 2-minute video of them inside the locker room, like Renee just being like upset and Takeshita not knowing what's going on, and the cameraman be like, guys, I have like a family I have to get back to after this. But this match was fantastic. I will say that Rush was great. First of all, Rush, not Rush. Okay, I feel like I got to catch myself from saying that. Rush is Mega Man's dog, so that's how I'll differentiate the two.
But God.
Or like JD said, he thought it was Leo Rush.
Who are these people? I don't like Rush's no selling, like, not in a I don't like no selling in matches way. Like, I specifically didn't like his no selling. I don't think he's good at it.
He's very notorious for it. He's notorious for being a non-seller, to the point that's why I don't like him as much as I do. He did it in Ring of Honor. He did it in Mexico. He's just he feels like he's trying to be Hulk Hogan. And you're the bad guy, bro. You're the bad guy.
And it just
Hogan is the bad guy.
Yeah, the great point.
Terry Bollea is the bad guy.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan's also the bad guy. But yeah, like, his no selling just felt like I don't know, man. It made me take him, like, it didn't add to the match.
Why doesn't nobody think?
Yeah, it was a good point. Like, it made him seem insecure more than anything, where I'm like, why are you no selling right now? Like, I don't believe this at all. I don't believe this no selling, like, at all. And like, he's a big dude. It's not like he's not like a big guy, but like, it just didn't feel right. Like, he's not that type of guy, and I don't think it ever got the reaction that it would have gotten.
JD off the top rope.
hey, Hulk
JD
Hogan
is the MVP.
Hulk Hogan
Brother
has no problem with Black History Month. He just doesn't like his daughter celebrating it.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan has no problem with Black History Month. He's also very happy it's February, the shortest month of the year.
And it's only the 8th. And we have to talk about Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Yeah, I
we can
mean,
stop.
it's inevitable.
Flex.
You know, it's wrestling. It's gonna come up. Do you want to talk about Vince McMahon? I mean, MJF was the driver's seat with the black.
Did he specify it was a black girl?
He said brown skin, but like I think he meant like it could have been you know what? Maybe he did. We can't say for sure. We can only speculate. He did say, you know, she had brown hair, brown eyes, beautiful brown skin. Brown is very vague.
Brown skin and he's Jewish, like, you know what I mean?
No, he has orange.
No, he doesn't have brown. He wouldn't classify himself as having brown skin. He said brown specifically.
On enough where it looks brown.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, Chad, what's up?
Don't go to the black guy. What are you doing? You're gonna get us canceled.
I mean, eventually, yes, but I mean, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, Rush. Roosh. There it is. He's fine. Like he's fine. Like this match was so good, so I feel bad that I'm like saying like I don't, you know, because it makes me seem like.
No,
like, what do you got to do? You know, like I'm like, oh, this match was fantastic. It was amazing. Like it was so cool. The only thing I didn't like was his no selling because I don't think he's a good no seller. Because I feel like no selling is an art, and he wasn't doing it as an art. You know, but yes. Go ahead. What was your question?
This whole locking the door thing and the possible 10 count that followed it opens up a lot of questions. As did what happened after the match. How much can MJF get away with Tony Khan? Because
he's going to get fined.
No, and he should. But this isn't the first time MJF has put his hands on someone he shouldn't. He's pushed Shivani. I think he's attacked a referee relatively, somewhat a while ago, not too long ago.
Yeah, he definitely put his hands on them. He bullies Aubrey all the time. This time he put his hands on the referee twice during the match, plus once after, and then he attacked security tonight. At this point, it wouldn't shock me if they were like, "Oh, he's suspended and he's not on TV next week."
And that's very possible. But then, what if Brian got counted out? Was Tony Khan going to be like, "Well, you should have been there"?
Yeah, obviously, like, I guess we're just not going to have a main event, or we'll have the Ass Boys main event.
Isn't real.
No, he would just have the Ass Boys main event Revolution, and that would have been that.
Real quick, what up, Navarro?
Hey, Navarro.
We were not fans of the tag team title swoop either. The Acclaim's momentum getting stopped. Overall tonight, wrestling was great. Yeah, no, we agree. The show itself was great. The main event, a huge bummer.
I feel like great's a strong word, but
there's some really good wrestling in this show.
Yeah, I thought it was a great wrestling show that pushed a lot of the stories forward. But yeah,
having the Acclaim lose in February is racist.
Yeah, I agree. It was very racist. To the most generic milky white boys you could ever put on this planet.
Generic milky white boys who came there through nepotism.
Yeah.
Could you make it any worse?
Literally, the fucking white privilege of the way into it.
Yeah.
Damn. This. I mean, I said it earlier, but I'm depressed because of this. But
it sucked. It really. Sucked. But speaking of white people in general, the Impractical Jokers were on after this.
Who?
So the Impractical Jokers, you know them? They're
all I hate them.
Anyway, they had a backstage interview because I guess Jericho was on the show, and he was a real diva while he was there. So they stole Floyd the Bat, and I guess they're coming back because now the ball's in Jericho's court or something. I don't know. This was an absolute waste of time. So after that, you had the first title match of the night, which was the Elite versus Top Flight and AR Fox for the Trio Championship match.
Is that?
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, no.
Did you not think this was for the titles, or
no? I forgot that the others were just eliminators. Which honestly, that is a great way of utilizing your champions without forcing titles to be on the line for no reason.
I actually think it's silly, but I understand what you mean.
I like it.
And yeah, I shout out
Especially win every
to
once in a while.
producer boy. Oh, but when WWE does it, it's fucking stupid. Anyway, shout out to producer, which I do think it's stupid, which I think it's stupid that AEW does it. Shout out to producer boy who worked on Impractical Jokers, which I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool, I guess.
Danny, do you know what True TV is?
I do know what True TV. They are the terrible, terrible network that did not greenlight Jake and Amir pilot, and I'm still bitter about it all these years later. But they did greenlight Adam Ruins Everything, so they're okay.
I actually like that joke. You did kind of ruin my joke, but it's okay. the Impractical Jokers was on there. It's really not that funny. It's like Punk, but not as good.
You just had a real CM Punk at the press conference moment. You just killed my entire lead in there, dude. Oh, God.
Anyway, the Elite versus AR Fox and Top Flight for the AEW Trios Championships. I honestly missed the beginning of this match because my TBS app crashed because it does that. But I did come back to the point where Darius fucked up his knee when he got the knees up on Nick Jackson. So that was cool. Anyway,
another 8 months, kid.
Anyway, he didn't actually fuck up his knee. It was kayfabe.
No,
It was kayfabe. He was kayfabe.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that would have sucked. I would have been very disappointed.
Absolutely.
Anyway, right after that, AR Fox gets tagged in, and then he spends the next 3 minutes just taking out everybody in the Elite, which was pretty crazy. He would attack Kenny in the ring with some crazy move, do a dive to the outside on the Bucks, go back in, get Kenny again, dive back out on the onto the Bucks. It was pretty cool. Eventually, Kenny is able to halt his momentum, and they both tag in Nick and Dante. And then at this point, Top Flight just went absolutely fucking crazy with flippy shit, and I couldn't write it all down. But it was really awesome. It was just a 5-minute sequence of them just absolutely taking everybody out in the craziest way possible. So then AR Fox takes out everybody on the outside. Nick gets hit with the nosedive powerbomb combo, and then AR Fox goes back up for the 450 splash to Nick Jackson. But I think Kenny was trying to break it up, and on commentary they sold it as Kenny breaking it up. Quite frankly, he didn't. Nick kicked.
He botched it. He blew it.
Which is unfortunate. James, you were invited to a super kick party. You literally had the Bucks kiss you on the face.
That was a super kiss party. It's very different.
Fair.
Also, Eric, I know Adam. I don't really watch Adam Ruins Everything anymore. Just because he was from College Humor, that I was like, it's cool that he got a show.
He made some decent points, but if you can do a Google and probably disprove some of them, sometimes it was a weird show. I digress. Where was I? Right. So then after Nick kicked out, Kenny broke up the pin. Sorry. Matt Jackson starts cleaning house, and then AR Fox gets hit with the assisted Meltzer driver, but that's broken up. Nick and Matt then take out Top Flight on the outside, so it's Kenny versus Fox one-on-one. Kenny hits a gut wrench doctor bomb that Fox kicks out of, then followed up with a V-trigger and set up for the one-winged angel, but Fox is able to counter with the roll-up that Kenny kicks out of. And he barely kicked out of that. I thought Knox's hand was down. I honest to God thought that was over. Kenny barely kicked out of that. I could not believe how close he let that get. Anyway, Kenny then counters with a roll-up of his own. Fox tries to shift the weight to get Kenny's shoulders back down, but Kenny's able to counter that counter and honestly put in a really, really nice roll-up pin thing, and they got the win. They escaped with the win, but the Elite were able to get the win and retain their titles. Danny, I like this match, and I know you may not be as high on Top Flight and AR Fox as some of us here on the pod, but I think they've done a really good job showing these kids have the Elite's number a little bit, and it made them look really good, even if they did end up losing this match after Top Flight beat the Bucks a couple of weeks ago.
I think if you replace the Elite with Death Triangle, this match is way better.
I disagree.
It's different. I'm not going to say it's better. It could still be very good.
Well, I'll tell you what, Pac wouldn't have missed the fucking timing on breaking up a pin. I can tell you that much. Holy shit.
Nah, he would just break his ankle on the way in.
Oh.
I'm sorry, what was Kenny? Why was Kenny gone for so long?
Time.
Was he not hurt?
He had
multiple ways?
Multiple injuries, and he kept working through it.
And you made a joke about Pac's one. He's been wrestling with a broken nose.
And he couldn't even roll up Jericho for a successful 1, 2, 3.
Kenny had vertigo. That to me is still the craziest thing.
Kenny got beat up by a dog, bro. Are you kidding me?
No,
Kenny wrestling with vertigo is insane to me.
He got beat up by a pair of dentures. There's a difference.
Yeah, the dog had dentures. Yeah, because it's that old and scrawny of a dog.
The dog needed dentures after that.
Yeah, so there we go. This match would have been better if it was Death Triangle versus anyone else. Actually, yeah, I'll retract what I said. It would have been better if it was Death Triangle versus any other trio. They should still be champions. That's all I've learned from the past couple of weeks. What the fuck have the Elite done? Why are they the champs? What have they done? What's the point of this?
Kenny beat Canada. That's what he did. He was stuck in Canada for a few weeks.
He also apparently beat a dog.
Yeah, fucking senseless, man. To the point where he needs dentures.
He's an abuser.
Eric, that was my joke. I made the joke 5 seconds before you typed it out.
James, you have Stockholm.
Ugh.
I met someone from Stockholm the other day, but
anyway.
Yeah, it was interesting, but yeah, I don't care. Like, this match was good. Holy shit, I don't care. I've realized I like Kenny better as a singles guy, and I like the Bucks better as a regular tag team. And I wish the Bucks were in the tag division because the tag division needs it, and they should have put over the Acclaim too. How awesome would an Acclaimed Bucks match be at Revolution instead of the Ass Boys versus whoever the fuck they're gonna face at Revolution? You know, and can we get I don't know. I don't think I'm right in this situation. I don't feel it.
You just are incredibly apathetic towards these teams, and you're like, okay, they put on a good match, move on, as opposed to me and hopefully you, James, who both believe that this was a very good match and these teams are both very good.
Or real quick before James goes, I will say that I did like AR Fox a lot in this match. So, you know, shout out to him.
Yeah, when I went out to Bridgeport, it was the first time I saw him because he was local, and I don't know if they debuted him there, but it was a big deal that he was there. And I don't know if he had a singles. I think he might have had a singles. He was fantastic. Like I started liking him then, so I'm glad he's getting some shine here, James.
No, I completely agree. And, you know, that's the thing. Shivani said it. It's like, oh, this kid, AR Fox. He's not a kid. He's been wrestling for a long, long time. So I'm really happy he's finally getting...
Shivani calls everyone kid.
Wait, hold on. Can we quickly shout out that David's in the chat right now? I think that's awesome.
So happy.
David, what's going on, man?
You know, I was going to wear your hoodie tonight, too. But I was wearing a pink hoodie yesterday, so I just don't want to wear pink again. But... yeah, what's
Happy
up, David?
Black History Month, David.
Yeah, don't rewind.
I lost everything I was going for. But, no, but you're right. He does call everyone kid, but like he specifically mentioned it like he was on the same level as Top Flight, and he's been around so much longer. So I am happy he had such a nice, awesome showing tonight. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Top Flight. I like Darius. I like Dante. But they didn't do anything tonight that I haven't seen before, as opposed to AR Fox. He shinned. He looked great. I also love the finish.
Shinned is hilarious, by the way.
I don't know that I'm wrong.
Shin sounds like when you hit your leg into something. Like I just shinned my knee on my desk. Or shinned my leg on my desk.
And the light burned bright. I don't know. I don't know. Check a dictionary. But regardless, I like the fact that the Elite barely beat them. This wasn't.
Yeah, that's nice. That was a nice touch. There were good things about this. I'm not giving them credit, but like there were good things about this.
I appreciate that you can acknowledge it without actually crediting them.
Yes, let the hate flow through you.
Kenny looked fantastic. AR Fox looked fantastic. And I'm actually going to agree with something that Danny said. As I was watching this match, it feels like the Bucks, and I think it's storyline, it feels like the Bucks are sort of dragging Kenny down a little bit. It feels like if this was the Bucks versus Top Flight, they would have lost. And guess what? They did lose when they wrestled Top Flight a few weeks ago. I don't think a few weeks ago Kenny Omega was going to lose to AR Fox. So I like this notion that maybe they are better off apart. Don't get me wrong. I'm still loving their matches. I think every match they've had, all 80 of them with Death Triangle were great. I really enjoyed this match tonight. I'm sure I would have loved their match against Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy on Rampage if I watched it, or if anybody did. But they are doing a great job. But I won't mind when they lose it. I won't mind when they drop the titles and then Kenny does his singles stuff, the Bucks do their tag stuff, but they could still be a unit together, just not necessarily going for the trios together.
Oh, I 100% agree with that because I liked them better when Kenny was the champ and the Bucks were with him, and like I liked them when they were together without being a trios team, you know. Or if they were having a trios match, it was a big deal because it was the world champ and the tag champs. You know, for a storyline reason, having the 6-man match against like Hangman and someone else or something. But shout out to the Coog 97 in the chat. Huge Roosh fan. So is James and Rev. Not so much.
Voluntarily?
If I may address Coog, I respect all that Roosh has accomplished. I love Los Ignorables. I prefer the Japanese stable.
What did you call me? I'm sorry.
Wait, what did I do?
Oh man!
Nah, he basically gave you a Gesundheit joke.
Okay. But I prefer them I prefer the Japanese stable a little bit more. But I do respect what Roosh has accomplished. He is a decorated champion. He's a decorated wrestler. He's got a great family behind him, and he's typically part of strong stables. I loved his stable in Ring of Honor with his family and with Kenny King for some reason. Kenny King. So I have respect for what Roosh can be. I just don't necessarily like his style in the ring as much. But
say you don't like him.
I don't like Andrade.
Oh yeah, Andrade.
No one likes
sucks.
Andrade.
But I like your name, dude.
tired
The Coog 97. That means were you like 14 in CM when in 2011 with that CM stuff you meant?
I respect this though. This guy has got his knowledge. He's got
that's you know what?
Coog just out here schooling us on CM.
Yeah, you know more about Roosh than me, so like your opinion on him is more valid than mine. But welcome in.
I'll tell you this: Naito would not be nearly as cool as he is today if he didn't join the group and Roosh didn't recruit him. So I agree with everything you're saying. I just in more recent years, Roosh has I think fallen back on maybe some bad habits. But again, nothing but respect for everything he's accomplished and helped create.
Yeah, but as far as the trios match we're talking about now, it was nice to have some interactive chats though with you guys. But I guess to get us back on topic, what the fuck were we talking about?
I think you guys how much you legitimately you were saying that you like Kenny and the Bucks as a unit. You just don't need them in the trios. You like them more as heaters for him than anything else.
Yeah, well, no, I just think they're not greater than the sum of their parts in this context right now as trios champ. Like, I'd rather just any other trios be champs right now, whether it was Death Triangle or House of Black, or those are the only other trios. But you know what I mean, or Best Friends. But who are the only ones? They're the only ones who haven't. When we were talking about teams that felt inevitable winning the titles, when we were talking about tag teams earlier with the title match, Best Friends are the only ones who haven't got, and Proud and Powerful, but they've kind of had a little falling out. But those are the other teams where it's like, oh, those teams should have won the tag titles, but now they haven't, and the Ass Boys have. It's fucking tragic. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what I want out of the trios division now, besides House of Black.
Don't want the Elite.
Hot take. I think that I don't want to say the titles were created so the Elite could win the trios title, but
they were. They 100%
they won it
were.
already. They were the first. They didn't have.
Yeah,
to
I know
win
they were
the second
first,
time.
and now they're technically the third.
Dude,
I guess.
their first reign was so much better than this one. Oh my god, I'll take that any time of the
That
week.
first match was phenomenal.
There.
But no, you got to kind of look at it like
I agree.
the whole reason that the Elite are a trio again, at least in my opinion, is probably just to help ease up Kenny's workload and probably their workload too. It's a lot easier to be in a trio and not have to wrestle, a 5-star banger by yourself every other week. It's just easier on his body, especially that he's coming back now after all these injuries, and he's afraid that if he gets hurt like that again, he's going to have to retire because, quite frankly, hearing everything he went through, and I'm sure we didn't hear everything he actually went through, like, I don't think I would come back either.
I mean, dude, he had all this time off, bro. What the hell? He needs a lighter workload. Oh my god.
I think we're fine with the lighter workload. I think Danny's just saying he doesn't have to be a champion in this lighter workload launch that's going on.
He can wrestle like MJF does,
without the championship.
As champion, Chad and I are on the same page here. We're saying the same thing, I think.
That's fair. I don't think they're going to hold it too much longer.
I don't think so, James. I'm sorry.
Also, guys, I don't want to produce live on air or anything, but let's not lead Coog to the water. I think he's a perfectly capable person. You don't gotta lay it on that thick. But thank you for subscribing, Coog.
I legitimately enjoyed the conversation. That's
thanks, Coog.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. You don't gotta give him the whole spiel to subscribe. I think he was on his way to doing that because I think he seems like an intelligent person who was on the way to doing so.
Now who's already?
I mean,
much
not
like
me.
Skippy peanut butter.
Brought it back. There we go. Change the banner on the bottom. Is that the end of the show? Right? There's nothing.
Pretty
else?
much.
Yeah.
The only thing after that, they had a quick video package for Hook, and he kind of threw a small little armbar on Stokely Hathaway after he was talking a bunch of shit about him. But
why is Stokely Hathaway still a thing? Is he doing?
Right? Oh my god.
Is he doing better? I'll ask Danny. Danny, is he doing better?
No.
Well, the firm is falling apart, and he blames Hook.
I mean, shouldn't the firm be riding high? The Ass Boys are champs, and they're part of the firm technically.
I guess they haven't interacted with any of those guys in a minute and a half.
Best promo of Hook's career so far, though.
Because he actually spoke.
Yeah,
I think he
this
pretty.
is the second time he spoke.
Yeah, he said. What did he say? You should be careful with your words.
Yeah, something like that.
To that effect.
I think he also called him Sir, which was
he did.
Yeah.
That
was a nice. I like that. No, I like that. It was jarring, but in a
good way. In a good way.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess all there's left to say is, shout out to Skippy Peanut Butter for sponsoring the podcast.
Not sponsored in the podcast.
We appreciate you guys, and fuck Jiff, but if you want to sponsor us in the future, I'll take that back.
So far we're totally not sponsored by Tylenol and peanut butter.
And whenever you put your face in that 1 month.
Look, I just Skippy, if you're out there, I would love to do an ad read for you guys. Arizona iced tea, I also
Dibs on Earl Palmer though.
Yeah.
I like the watermelon.
Oh my god. What? Wow, Chad, that's messed up.
No, I was being honest.
What's your face for, James? Are you how delayed of a reaction?
I was typing and then I heard it. Like I'm like Slowpoke the Pokemon, okay? Like it takes a second.
All right.
I mean, David can attest to that. David, hit us in the comments.
Before we get out of here, Danny, what did you think of tonight's episode as a whole?
I mean, it was no Skippy Peanut Butter, but it was a decent show. Actually, no, the Acclaim lost. I'm still sad. This show fucking sucked. Cancel Dynamite. Cancel AEW Network. Fuck Tony Khan. Fuck the Jaguars. Fuck whatever football team he owns. Soccer.
You believe
football,
that's full
not
FC?
Yeah, fuck them. Fuck his dad's cool mustache. Yeah, this was dumb. Fuck DX. Fuck DX so much. Yeah,
you gotta get that in one last time after his Raw review.
Go GG Dolan.
James, what'd you think of this as a whole?
I overall love the show. I too very let down by the main event. And again, I think if they just restructured the booking, that they had it in the middle of the card, the night would have been a lot better and a lot stronger. But yeah, I thought this was a great show. Great show and great wrestling. Man, like one or two of these matches I think could have been on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Chad, what did you think of the show?
James is lying. Show was ass.
Bro, it really was, dude. This
Oh,
dude's
was
saying
it?
he loves the ass boys winning the titles, basically.
I said,
That's what he
other than
said.
that.
That's
other than that.
In February, James.
in February.
I have to agree with James. Like, there were some serious low points here where, like, the Acclaimed losing the titles was terrible booking. It was awful. It was just bad. The crowd hated it. It went over horribly. I don't know what they were doing or thinking. I didn't like the women's segment, unfortunately. Just that match was just so thrown away. It felt like I said, it was just entirely in the picture-in-picture. It didn't have any build to it. So it was just weird. But the rest of the show, John Blattner,
you're.
But like the rest of the show, the matches were phenomenal. The opening match was great. The Brian Roosh match was great. Even the Elite Top Flight match was great, even though I missed the first few minutes of it. Like, and you know, the Acclaimed Guns match, it was good up until the end. So I thought there was some great wrestling on the show. I liked some of the promos, the Hook promo, the Samoa Joe promo. There was a lot of good about this show. It's just you end up leaving with such a sour taste in your mouth after the Acclaimed lose that, yeah, you kind of don't really think about everything else. You're focused on that. And I think that's very unfortunate for AEW. I think because this was such a bad move, I think they're going to get a decent amount of blowback tonight. After tonight. So we'll see.
Real quick, I do agree. Shout out to El Paso. They were a good crowd tonight.
Mm-hmm.
El Paso is a low key. No one knows about it, but it's a decent Taking Back Sunday song. That being said, you guys, I don't know if you guys are brand new guys or Taking Back Sunday guys, but you got to pick a side. You know, that's a historic beef. The only real pop punk beef, you know, in history. But you guys, I feel like none of you guys know who Brand New is, so you're probably Taking Back Sunday by default. I
think I only know Taking Back Sunday from you just saying Taking Back Sunday a lot.
I never say that. I talked to a religious guy about Taking Back Sunday once, and he was very offended by their name. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. Subscribe.
Well, yeah, like Danny said, that is. Get that off of my screen.
I mean, that's true. That's true. That's why there's certain sides are worse to pick than others.
All right. Anyway, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching here tonight at the Mark It Down podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. We have new episodes after Dynamite every Wednesday. Our regular episode usually comes out around Thursdays. Plus, Danny has his Raw Fast Forwards on Mondays. James, we get Impact tomorrow?
We are. We absolutely are.
So everyone head into the Gym Pack Zone tomorrow night for an Impact review.
I'll be discussing...
Chad, are we coming back to NXT? Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking about it. I'll take a thinking about it. I will take a thinking about it. So
look, man, we really got to spread ourselves out there, you know, just like Skippy Peanut Butter. All right.
Be sure to subscribe, and we go live after the pay-per-views too, so you can check us out for all that stuff. You can also follow us on all our social media stuff: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, all in the description below. We will also be starting to expand the show here, maybe starting to stream on some of those platforms as well. So for Danny Hernandez, Chad Big Bad Johnson, returning Chad Big Bad Johnson, and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll catch you here next time on the Mark It Down podcast. Have a good night, everyone. And yes, Skippy is superior than all our peanut butters.
I believe you.
I go crunchy, personally.
Oh, God. Thank God you